Morality and our world today. Today's society is facing numerous forms of moral degradation, and this is gradually affecting all of us in one way or the other. Parents have a greater task of instilling moral values into their children. I have a strong belief that if we are able to raise one generation of children to love and live with the truth, love, and respect for one another, no matter where one may come from, who or what one may be, our society would be on its way to paradise. Day in day out we hear of events around the globe. Events with different categories of life, some so huge in size, they can hardly enter the ear, some so gruesome, the eye cannot behold, some so complex, the chemistry of the brain's logic gates cannot function, let alone comprehend. We turn to ask ourselves many questions than we seem to have answers for, but many hardly find enough time to pause and ask questions like, how do we curb these? Once we fail to have the time to address these issues now in their infancy, we must know that there comes a time when we would have no choice but to face the consequences. Bible teaches us to train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he is old, he would not depart from it. Find this in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 6. We also find in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 24, that he that spares his rod hates his son, but he who loves him disciplines him promptly, indicating the urgency of the act. Again we find from Proverbs chapter 19, verse 18, that chasten your son while there is hope, and do not set your heart on his destruction, which clearly indicates the urgency of the act of discipline. Once the act of correction or discipline is postponed or not performed, you give the child the false impression that all is well, whilst in actual sense, it is not. We find in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 15, that foolishness is bound up in the heart of a child, the rod of correction will drive it far from him. In this quotation, we find that every child is vulnerable, because the child does not have the ability to discern good from evil, so it is the parent, most of the time, who is closest to the child, and hence can do this correction with the urgency it merits. Looking at another instance of instruction from Proverbs chapter 22, verses 13 and 14, we read, do not withhold correction from a child, for if you beat him with a rod, he would not die, you shall beat him with a rod, and deliver his soul from hell. You don't necessarily have to use a rod to beat the child as we just read from above, but there are numerous ways to correct this child. Either child some kind of comfort or desires, making him understand why you say no to that wish or comfort. That should be another way to let him know he is wrong in doing something his way. Lastly but not the least, another passage from the book of Proverbs, chapter 29, verse 15 tells us that the rod and rebuke give wisdom, but a child left to himself brings shame to his mother. Once the eye is poked, the retina and other tissues stand the chance of malfunctioning, or expressing pain or dislike. The same way find that if it hurts you, it hurts me too. This alone is enough to tell you that your problem is mine, likewise mine yours. For how long can you turn a blind eye to the fact that you are your brother's keeper? Let us all with one love and understanding help this generation of children, so that when we are gone into eternity, they would have a peaceful world to live in. Well, this is my mind. You may have a different view to today's problems, knowing all of us cannot think alike at the same time, but I wish it is so. Shalom.